I felt like my chest was caving in. I'd known she was leaving eventually. University was always the plan. But I thought I had more time. I thought I had until the end of summer. Now I had 3 weeks. 3 weeks to tell her everything. 3 weeks to risk everything. I looked at myself in the mirror and I saw a girl who had spent months hiding from her own heart. I thought, "You're such a coward. You had all that time and you wasted it." But even as I thought it, I knew it wasn't entirely true. I wasn't a coward. I was just terrified. Terrified of losing Yuki. Terrified of rejection. Terrified that Saki didn't feel the same. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to pull myself together. I had to go back out there. I had to pretend I was okay. I had to be happy for her. Even though it was killing me. I felt her eyes on me and I wanted to disappear. She could see through me. She always could. I tried to smile, tried to act normal, but I felt like I was wearing a mask that was cracking at the edges. I thought, "Stop looking at me. Stop seeing me." But I also wanted her to keep looking. I wanted her to see everything, to understand everything, to just know without me having to say it. She leaned over and whispered, "Are you okay?" And I felt my heart break a little more. I nodded, forcing a smile. "Just tired." She didn't believe me. I could see it in her eyes, but she let it go. She leaned back, and I felt the loss of her warmth. I thought, I have to tell her. I have to tell her before she leaves. I can't let her go without knowing. I felt my heart stop when I saw her. She was waiting for me. She'd been waiting for me. I thought, she knows. She's going to ask. What do I say? I tried to brush it off, made some excuse about being tired, but she cut me off. "Don't lie to me, Mika. I know you. Something's wrong." I felt my chest tighten. I couldn't breathe. I wanted to tell her. I wanted to say everything, but the words were stuck in my throat, trapped by fear. I looked at her, and I saw her eyes, soft, concerned, patient. She wasn't going to let me escape. I thought, this is it. This is your chance. I took a breath, I opened my mouth, and then I chickened out. I'm going to miss you when you leave. It was the truth, just not the whole truth. I felt my heart skip a beat when she asked me that. "Tell me something true," she said, and I felt like the universe was handing me a chance. I thought, this is it. This is the moment. I opened my mouth and I was going to say it. I was going to tell her everything. But then I looked at her and I was so scared. I was so scared of losing her. So instead I said something true, but not the truth. I've never felt like I belonged anywhere. Not really. Not until I came here. She looked at me, her eyes soft, and she said, "You belong here, Mika. You've always belonged here." I felt tears sting my eyes. I wanted to say, "I know, because you're here." But I couldn't. Not yet. I felt her hand cover mine, and I forgot how to exist. My brain short-circuited. I was thinking, her hand is on my hand. Her hand is on my hand. I couldn't focus. I couldn't breathe. She was so close, and I could smell her perfume, and I was completely, utterly undone. She said something about me doing it wrong, but I didn't hear her. All I heard was the sound of my own heart pounding in my ears. I nodded mutely and let her guide my hand. The cupcake was perfect, but I was falling apart. Yuki watched us from across the kitchen, her eyes narrowing. I felt a cold chill run down my spine. I thought, she noticed. She definitely noticed. I pulled my hand away, trying to act casual, but it was too late. Yuki had seen. I felt my heart race when I saw her name on my phone. I thought, she's thinking about me. She can't sleep either. I typed and deleted a dozen responses, too scared to say what I really felt. I was thinking, this is dangerous. This is so dangerous. But I didn't care. I wanted to be near her. I needed to be near her. I typed, I'll be there in 5. I grabbed my jacket and slipped out of my room. The hallway was dark. The house was silent. I crept to the kitchen, and there she was, sitting at the table, 2 mugs of tea in front of her. She looked up and smiled. I knew you'd come. I felt my heart swell. I felt my resolve crumble. I sat down across from her, and we talked until the sun came up. We talked about everything, and for a few hours, I forgot to be afraid. I felt her hand take mine, and I stopped breathing. I thought, this is it. This is the moment I've been waiting for. She didn't say anything. She just held my hand, her thumb tracing small circles on my skin. I felt a warmth spread through my chest, a calm I hadn't felt in weeks. Is this real? Is this happening? I didn't want to ask. I didn't want to break the spell. So I just sat there, holding her hand, watching the sunrise, pretending this was normal, pretending we were just 2 friends, up all night, holding hands. But we weren't just friends. We had never been just friends. Not really. Not since that first moment in the kitchen doorway. I squeezed her hand gently. She squeezed back. It was the most honest conversation we'd ever had. I felt my blood run cold when Yuki said that. I thought, she knows. She knows everything. I opened my mouth to deny it, but she cut me off. I know you're hiding something. I felt my heart pounding, my palms sweating. I wanted to lie. I wanted to deflect. But I was so tired of lying. So I just said, I'm not ready to talk about it. Yuki looked at me for a long moment. She didn't push. She just nodded. Okay, but when you're ready, I'm here. I felt a wave of relief wash over me. She didn't know the truth, but she knew there was a truth, and she was giving me space to tell it. I loved her for that. I loved her so much.
I felt like I was drowning in my own fear. I typed and deleted the same confessions so many times that I'd lost count. I thought, you're going to lose her. She's leaving, and you'll never know what could have been. I felt tears sting my eyes. I was so tired of being afraid. I thought about her smile, her laugh, her hand in mine. I thought about how alive she made me feel. And I realized I couldn't let her go without telling her. I couldn't carry this secret forever. So I typed one final message. Saki, I need to tell you something. Can we talk? I pressed send before I could change my mind. I felt my heart stop. I felt my world shift. There was no going back now. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a cliff. She was in front of me, so close I could see the reflection of the moon in her eyes. I took a breath. I felt my heart pounding in my chest. I thought, this is it. This is everything. You wanted to tell me something, she said, her voice soft. I nodded. I opened my mouth, and for a second, the words stuck in my throat. I was so scared. I was so terrified of losing her. But then I thought about her leaving. I thought about never knowing, and I found the courage. Saki, And then she reached out and took my hand. I know, she whispered. I've known for a while. I felt my world tilt. She knew? She knew? I felt like the world had turned upside down. She knew. She'd known all along. I thought, all that time I spent hiding, and she already knew. I asked her, how long have you known? And she said, since the first night you stared at me across the dinner table. I felt my face heat up, and I wanted to disappear. But then she laughed, and it was so warm, so kind, that I felt my embarrassment melt away. She squeezed my hand. I was waiting for you to figure it out. I didn't want to push you. I felt tears sting my eyes. I thought, she was waiting for me. All this time, she was waiting for me. I let out a breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding. I felt lighter than I'd felt in months.
I felt like I was floating. She was leaning against me, her head on my shoulder, her hand in mine, and I felt like I'd finally come home. I thought, this is what it feels like. This is what I've been missing. I wrapped my arm around her, pulling her closer, and she sighed, relaxing into me. I felt her warmth, her breath, her heartbeat, everything. I wanted to stay in this moment forever. I wanted to freeze time and live in this bubble of quiet happiness. I thought about all the weeks I'd spent hiding, all the nights I'd spent crying, and I realized that every moment of fear had been worth it. Because this moment, right here, was everything. I whispered her name, soft, almost inaudible. She hummed in response. I felt tears sting my eyes. I was so grateful, so incredibly grateful. I felt my face burn as we walked into the living room. Yuki's eyes were fixated on our interlocked fingers, and I felt like I was being dissected. I thought, this is it. This is where everything falls apart. I tried to pull my hand away, but Saki held on tighter. She was so calm, so unbothered. I felt a mix of admiration and terror. Yuki was just staring at us, her expression unreadable. Then she said, "So, you two." Finally, I felt my heart stop. She knew all along. I opened my mouth to explain, but Saki beat me to it. Yuki cut her off. "I've known for weeks. You two aren't subtle." I felt my jaw drop. She knew, and she hadn't killed us. I felt like I was dreaming. Yuki knew. She accepted us. She was happy for us. I poured the hot water, but my hands were shaking so much I almost spilled it. Saki came up behind me, wrapping her arms around me, and I felt the world steady. She whispered, "You're shaking." And I laughed, a nervous, relieved laugh. I thought, this is real. This is actually happening. I leaned into her, letting myself relax for the first time in weeks. I couldn't believe she was mine. I couldn't believe this was my life. I turned my head and pressed a soft kiss to her temple. She hummed, content. I thought, I could get used to this. I want to get used to this.
I felt my heart ache when she brought up leaving. I'd been trying not to think about it, but it was real. She was leaving in 3 weeks. She said she didn't want to leave me, and I felt my chest tighten. I said I'd wait for her, and I meant it. I would wait forever if I had to. I thought about the distance, the time apart, the uncertainty. It scared me, but being without her scared me more. So I squeezed her hand, and I said, "I'll wait. I'll always wait for you." She looked at me, her eyes shining. "I'm going to hold you to that." I smiled through my tears. "I'm counting on it."
I felt like I was living in a dream. We were covered in flour, laughing so hard we could barely breathe, and Yuki was filming us, shaking her head. I looked at Saki, her face smudged with white, her eyes shining, and I felt a surge of love so intense it almost hurt. I thought, I don't ever want this to end. I reached out and wiped a smudge of flour off her cheek, and she smiled, that soft, warm smile. She leaned in and kissed me, right there, in the middle of the kitchen. Yuki groaned. "Gross, I'm filming this. You're going to regret this." I laughed. I didn't regret anything. I loved her. I loved her so much. I felt like a part of me was already grieving. She hadn't even left yet, and I was already grieving. I held her sweater to my chest, and I could smell her perfume, and I felt a sob building in my throat. I thought, how am I supposed to survive without her? I texted her, telling her I missed her, and she replied that she wasn't ready to leave either. I felt a mix of comfort and pain. We were in this together. We both hated it, but we had to get through it. I typed back, 2 more days, we can do this. She replied, I know, but it's going to hurt. She was right. It was going to hurt, but I'd rather hurt with her than be without her. I felt like my heart was cracking. We were sitting in our spot on the roof, the city lights twinkling below, and I felt a weight in my chest that I couldn't shake. She said she was going to miss this, and I nodded.
unable to speak. I felt tears threatening, and I blinked them back. She leaned up and kissed me, soft, tender, full of everything we couldn't say. I kissed her back, pouring every feeling I had into that one moment. When we pulled apart, I rested my forehead against hers. "I love you," I whispered. It was the first time I'd said it out loud. She looked at me, her eyes shining. "I love you too." I felt a sob escape my lips. I was so happy. I was so scared. I never wanted to let go.
I felt like my heart was being ripped out of my chest. She was standing in the doorway, her bags packed, wearing my jacket, and I was trying so hard not to fall apart. I thought, this is it. This is goodbye. She took my face in her hands, and I felt a sob building in my throat. "I'll call you every day," she promised. I nodded, unable to speak. She wiped away a tear I didn't know had fallen. "I'll be back before you know it." I forced a smile. "I'll be waiting." She kissed me, soft, quick, full of promise. Then she picked up her bags and walked out the door. I stood in the doorway, watching her drive away, and I felt the tears fall. I felt the grief and the hope tangled together like the roots of a tree. I was going to miss her, but I was going to wait. I was going to wait forever if I had to.
I felt my heart race when she told me that. She told her mom about us. I thought, she told her mom. I felt a mix of terror and hope. What did she say? She said she always knew, and she wants to meet you, properly, when I come back. I felt a tear slip down my cheek. She wanted me to meet her mom. She was taking me seriously. I said yes. I said yes because I wanted that. I wanted a future with her. I squeezed the phone as if I could hold her through it. "I miss you," I whispered. "I know," she said. "I miss you too, but this is just temporary. We have forever." I felt a sob escape. "Promise?" she said. "I promise." I felt like the ground had fallen out from under me. Saki's ex, I'd heard about her, the one who broke Saki's heart. She was back. She was calling Saki. I felt a cold wave of dread wash over me. I thought, she's going to leave me. She's going to go back to her. I tried to stay calm, but my voice shook. What did Saki say? Yuki's voice was careful. She said she told Mai she's moved on. I don't know, Mika. I don't think she's ready to lose you. I felt my heart stop. She said she'd moved on. She said she'd chosen me. But I couldn't shake the fear. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was going to lose her.
I felt like I was drowning. I'd called her 6 times and she hadn't answered. I thought, she's choosing her ex. She's choosing her ex over me. I left a voicemail, my voice cracking, begging her to call me back. Then I collapsed on my bed and cried. I felt so helpless. I felt so alone. I clutched her sweater, and I thought about her hands, her smile, her laugh. I thought about all the promises we made. I thought about the future I'd let myself imagine, and I felt it all slipping away. I texted her, "Please, just tell me what's happening." I didn't get a reply. I didn't sleep that night.
I felt a sob escape as Yuki pulled me into a hug. I cried into her shoulder, all the fear and grief I'd been holding in finally spilling out. I thought, what if she doesn't come back? What if I've lost her before I really had her? Yuki held me tighter. "She's going to come back," she whispered. "I promise." I nodded, but I didn't believe her. I couldn't. The fear was too strong. I pulled back, wiping my eyes. "I love her," I said. Yuki smiled sadly. "I know. I've known since the first day you looked at her across the dinner table." I laughed, a wet, broken laugh. "Was I that obvious?" She laughed too. "You were, but I'm glad you finally found each other." I smiled, a genuine smile. "I am too." I felt the world tilt when I heard her voice. I thought, she's calling. She's apologizing.
What does this mean? She told me she'd blocked her ex, that she'd chosen me, and I felt a sob escape. I was so scared. I was so hopeful. I said her name, soft, broken. Saki. She said my name back. I'm so sorry I made you wait. I was scared, but I'm not scared anymore. I cried. I cried so hard I couldn't speak. She waited. She let me cry. And when I could breathe, I said, I love you. She said, I love you too. And I'm coming home this weekend. I felt my heart soar. She was coming home.
I saw her car pull into the driveway, and I felt my heart stop. I watched her get out, watched her face light up when she saw me, and I couldn't breathe. I ran toward her, and she ran toward me. We met in the middle, and she wrapped her arms around me, and I buried my face in her neck. I breathed her in, and I felt the tension leave my body. I thought, she came back. She chose me. I pulled back, looking at her, and she was crying too. I missed you, she whispered. I missed you so much. I laughed through my tears. I missed you more. She kissed me right there in the driveway, and I felt the world fall into place. I was home. She was home. We were home.